Hey guys, welcome to Bird Brothers. This is episode 31. We're going to recap some of the Colts Eagles game, talk Eagles football overall in general. Let's start with the Eagles Colts game, Ryan. The Eagles pulled it out on the road 17-16. Fourth quarter, last minute drive by Jalen Hurts. What did you like? What did you not like?
Oh yeah, we had plenty of time. We got the ball with like maybe 4.5 minutes left. Plenty of time to do run whatever offense you wanted to run. Whether it be running the ball, passing, whatever. So they did mix in some run, which I liked. It kind of seems like that's our go-to, which is frustrating because we talked about it. We want them to run the ball more. But it seems like okay, we need points here. We have to get down the field. Then we start running the ball. We hand the ball off 4 or 5 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards. And then, maybe on a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, we might throw a little screen, slant. But, we were texting during the game and we were like, well, this is it. We got to see if Jalen Hurts can lead him down the field. He did that. Obviously scored on the QB sneak. So I think it was designed like that. It looked like it was designed like that. To pull to the right. They pulled Kelsey to the right, which kind of drifted people off. And then, Hurts just goes up the middle. But good drive overall on the last one. We got what we needed, but we continue to make this silly mistakes. The A.J. Brown fumble. And we're still not stopping the run. I like that we played Linval Joseph. I was texting you a few times during the game about him. Like, no one's moving him.
Yeah.
He's literally just standing, and that's what we saw from Jordan. We saw Jordan Davis rip through sometimes. There's a lot of times where he gets doubled, and he literally just kind of extends both arms and just holds his ground, and then last second throws. And even if you don't make the play, if you don't make the tackle, if you're taking on your defender and you're holding that line of scrimmage, and everyone else is doing their job, that's fine. But I'm kind of excited to see, man, what we as Linval gets his cardio up a little bit. Same with Sue. I'm excited to see with Davis back, what we can put together. Because if we can run something with Linval and Jordan Davis in there, run these big packages, where we have 5 down linemen and 3 of them are defensive tackles, it could be a scary thing. So I think it'll definitely help. Huge signings, big moves from Harry Roseman. I think it cost us just under $5 million to get both of them. I think it's a steal in my book. Sue had 6 sacks last year, 19 QB knockdowns. Both Super Bowl champs, playoff pedigree players. So, overall, not super happy with the game. I think it's a team we should beat. But I also understand that coaching changes, things like that. Teams are usually fired up. They come out to play. They play with a little more heart, a little more passion.
Yeah.
And that's what they did, And Matt Ryan's still a good quarterback. People that doubt him, he can still play football. He's not anywhere near his prime. His prime was wasted in Atlanta. But he can still play football. Michael Pittman can play. They have some talent. Arguably one of the top. I mean, he's a top 5 running back, I'd say, in the league. Especially based off last year. This year's been a little bit of a letdown compared to last year, but they got a good team. They got a lot of talent. Forrest Buckner's a stud. Stephon Gilmore, very good corner, one of the tops in the league. So it's a good team. They're just lacking a little bit here and there, and I think they were lacking coaching. Not saying Jeff Saturday's the guy. I don't think he should be the coach, but I think he's just one of the owner's drinking buddies, and kind of hooked him up. But again, not super happy with it, but we got the win. That's all that matters. Come Monday morning, it's a win. So.
Yeah, so this game this week and last week versus the Commanders, and then this week with the Colts just reminds me this is how it normally is in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? Like every week you never take anybody for granted. And I was telling my wife, I was telling Kiara before the Commanders game, like I'm always that way. I'm always like, dude, any given Sunday, divisional games are even harder. Every week you can get beat. Like you got to bring your A game every week. Every win's hard to come by in this league. And then my team goes 8-0, I started getting a little cocky, which isn't
Yeah.
something I do a lot with football, especially. We're 8-0. And when we jumped on Bird Brothers, we were playing the Commanders on Monday night. I was like, guys, we're gonna change up the Bird Brothers YouTube channel a little bit. We're gonna talk a little bit about everything, not just pregame, because hey, who's really worried about the Commanders?
Yeah.
I said that. Then we got beat.
It was
So
your fault.
it was my fault. So if you're an Eagles fan, you can blame me. Send me the hate mail. Put in the comments below how I'm a piece of shit. I can take it. um, but yeah, man, it was nice to see them win. But uh, I think, man, like Dallas Goedert and Avonte Maddox,
Yeah.
missing those guys hurts. Missing Jordan Davis hurts. Um, our defense at the beginning of the game just did not even look relatively the same to what they were earlier in the year.
No.
And the positive in that, I guess you could say, is Jordan Davis might be one hell of a football player because
Yeah.
when he's on the field, as well as Maddox is part of that too, a big part of it. But when Davis is on the field, man, teams did not run like that. And when you got a guy that literally you have to take, he takes two offensive linemen. They put two offensive linemen on a guy like that. Then you can play that lighter box. You got an extra defender in the back end, right? It was so I don't know. I still think what I want to see from the Eagles, like I like that we got the win. Hurts was 18 of 25 passing. That's 72%. That's great. Um, we got to stop turning the football over. We turned it over twice. Once we were trying to set up a max protect deep shot that Ngakwe came around and stripped Hurts. Did anybody notice that Miles Sanders was blocking him? Miles Sanders was blocking a defensive end.
Right.
I wonder if that would have been Dallas Goedert staying
Right.
in the pass protect. I don't know, but you can't have Miles Sanders on a defensive end that's got like 50 pounds on him. A good
Right.
defensive end.
Yeah. Also, yeah, he's an elite pass rusher.
Yeah. So there was that. Then the AJ Brown fumble just looked odd. He just mental lapse, right? He just wasn't holding that
Yeah.
ball very tight. So I liked that. I liked that, when you take Goddard out, Goddard's kind of our number two option. AJ Brown, Goddard, Devontae Smith. If you take Goddard out, it's AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal. Those become the next best options. It was nice to see Quez catch a touchdown, catch some plays downfield. That's good. Like he needs to be productive. He needs to be a threat. He needs to be making plays. So teams can't just focus solely on Devontae Smith and Brown.
Right.
And then some things I just want to get back to, like you mentioned. We are a running team. So be a running team.
Yeah.
Even though yesterday it looked like our offensive line couldn't get any push, maybe that was just lack of reps, or they're just not willing to establish the run and get the offensive lineman in that mode of just pushing forward, because it's a mindset, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
I want to get us back to running the football, stopping the run. That's it. Don't turn it over. Run the ball, stop the run. Run the ball, stop the run, don't turn it over. Those have been things we've struggled with, man, that have been kind of the last 3 weeks. Colts, Commanders, and then whoever we played before that. That was actually our worst defensive performance against the run.
It was the Texans, right?
Yeah, the Texans.
Yeah.
They ran the ball all over us.
And I mean, those are three teams under 5. Well, I don't know if the Commanders aren't. They're at 500.
I think.
Okay. So under 500 teams that you would consider, bottom half of the league for sure. I mean, the Texans might be the worst team in the league come to the end of the year. So
hopefully it's the same.
I mean, but you can also look at Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce, they showed a stat before the game, like Dameon Pierce, I think, is 6th overall in rushing yards, like yards per carry. He's playing very well. So it's not just us. He tore up, but That's supposed to be, what we're good at is stopping the run. So I definitely think the Jordan Davis thing is a huge loss, obviously, because Howie Roseman went out and threw money, at two senior veteran dudes that can stop the run and play. Um, I love the signings. I think it's only going to get better from here. I think we maybe have another week, possibly two, without Jordan Davis. I saw some people talking high ankle sprains. There's people that got hurt the week after and they're coming back this week. Well, they're also not 360 pounds. That's a ton of weight to put on an ankle that's, a sprained ankle. So I think they should take their time. Let's get him back 100%. Because we did just sign a little bit of depth, and I love the pressure that Gannon brought, late. Let's just bring pressure. There's not a lot of quarterbacks in this league that I would be like, no, like let's just drop into coverage. Like even guys like Mahomes. Mahomes is good at beating the blitz. I'd still rather give him no time and make him make a split decision, trust in our corners, and hope we get to him quick. Because for one, if we bring, guys like that will extend plays if we don't bring pressure. They'll move out of the pocket and slide around just like Hurts does. So I love the pressure at the end of games. Really put it on the quarterback's shoulders to throw the ball up, especially when we're playing teams that don't have elite passers. And Matt Ryan is no longer an elite guy, if he ever was. Maybe there was a 1 year stretch where you consider him like up there in the top tier, but he's always been pretty good. So I like what they did there. I do want to see a little bit more, aggressiveness throughout the game, just periodically, like not the whole game, just maybe on a 3rd and 5, a 3rd and 6, bring that pressure and make them throw that first read. Like no matter what, you're throwing your first read. We're not going to give you 2 reads. You're throwing it to your slant guy, and let our corners play. But yeah, I'm excited to see what we have.
We've got the corners to do that.
We have good corners now. I am curious to see if we stick with what we're doing. With Josiah Scott, you can just tell he's just kind of new. I don't think he understands it 100%. Maybe he's not athletic enough to get to where he needs to be. I don't know, but
he's athletic.
I know that they're athletic, but is he quick twitch enough? Like Avonte Maddox is stupid quick.
I think it's more mental because he ran a 4.3. He's 5'9". I think he's a very good athlete. I think it's mental, right? Because he looks slow. He looks 3 steps behind a guy. I was like, Michael Pittman doesn't run a 4.3. So why are you like 3 steps behind him?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he's definitely athletic enough. I just, for some reason, he's not getting where he needs to be. And maybe like you said, it is mental, but I wonder if Gardner Johnson's going to kind of slide down more often. I mean, obviously, where we've had him has worked. Guy's got, this last week he didn't have it, but 5 games in a row with an interception. It's incredible. It was incredible what we, and we gave up nothing for him. So I'm kind of curious to see what we do there. I know we saw when Gardner Johnson was out, Kevon Wallace was definitely a liability in coverage. So maybe they're scared of that. Maybe they're kind of picking their poison. And in that aspect, Scott might be better. We'll play Scott at the nickel and, give him a little bit of help. But no, I'm excited, man. I am glad we got the win. We put together a good drive at the end, got down there, and then our defense held up. So, yeah, another clutch play from Brandon Graham that we can put down on the list of the all-time Eagles, clutch plays. But, yeah, big play from Graham. I liked what I saw from – I want to see our edge rushers. I think Reddick flashes every game. I want to see – Sweat has a play here and there, or he'll have, one monster game where he just every play's off the edge. But I'd like to see a little more from Sweat. And Fletch is just a quiet guy. He's not a big numbers guy, but he does a lot. If you just watch Fletch for, watch him for 5 plays straight and understand what he does. A lot of times he's taking on 2 defenders, but he's always pushing the pile. So overall, I'm happy with what we're doing. Got to shore up the penalties and the silly turnovers. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's good. We're facing adversity. It's good to face it now against teams that really shouldn't be beating us, shouldn't be showing us adversity. But it's good to face it now.
In regards to that, the Colts, before the year started, right? We didn't think the Colts were going to be a gimme game.
No.
They might have lost belief in Frank Reich, or I don't know what happened. I mean, they benched Matt Ryan. I don't know why they
At the beginning of the year, though, like I would have picked the Colts to be a playoff, shoe-in for sure.
Yeah, everybody thinks, and they still say, they're a quarterback away. They went from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan. Like, they're a quarterback away.
Right.
And they've got this good roster. They got one of the best offensive lines in football. Their defense yesterday, going into the game yesterday, was fifth. That's the fifth overall defense in the league. And they played like it. They were good. They were a good defense. And I don't know what they were doing. I was thinking they were kind of like taking the Patriots strategy, like putting Gilmore on Brown and then doubling Smith with a safety. That's what it kind of seemed like. I haven't watched like the all 22 film, or I don't really watch that, but I want to give them some credit because I think that they're a good roster.
Yeah.
We're on the road. And like you said, they got a new coach. They won last week. A little bit of a spark plug, right? Just a little bit of spark, and they drove right down the field on us first. That's a big deal too. Like, they got the ball, drove right down the field, scored a touchdown. Like, on the road, the home team up by 7. Like, that happened in Detroit. Like first game of the year, right? Versus Detroit.
Yeah.
First game of the year on the road in Detroit. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's hopeful. Lions drive right down the field, score a touchdown. That changes the trajectory of the game. The crowd is like motivated. The players are focused. They're motivated, and it's even though they're a bad team, like, in that state of mind, you got to play that Lions team or that Colts team in a positive state of mind for the next 45 minutes.
Right.
So we did a good job. We hung in. We battled. We made the plays. 2 turnovers hurts us. One with Brown, we were driving down the field.
Yeah, that one killed me, man.
Yeah, we can't keep doing that. I mean,
yeah, we will 100% lose against against playoff caliber teams. We will lose games like that on not one play, not even 2 turnovers. On 1 turnover, you will lose to these teams that put up 40 points a game, 35 points a game. Yeah, I mean, overall though, we're very critical. I think we do a pretty good job. I mean, I've met a good amount of Eagles fans. I think overall we're pretty good and pretty unbiased. There's always times you're going to be a little biased for your team, but we're a good football team. I still don't like. There's guys that are, at my work that'll bring up like, Eagles Super Bowl, man. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's very hard to get to a Super Bowl, and they're like, you guys are 8-0. I'm like, it still doesn't matter. We can go undefeated in the regular season. It just matters what we can do in the playoffs. We did have a fairly easy schedule, and things have changed throughout the season where teams were better than they were, worse than they were. So our record really is about middle of the road. If you look at strength of schedule now,
we have the best conference in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
The best division, the NFC East.
Yeah.
NFC least? No, NFC beast.
Dude, it does look good. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't a believer in the Giants, but
did you see the Cowboys game?
Yeah.
So,
Cowboys look.
I hate the Cowboys, but that was a good thing, probably. Now, not good because we're building the Cowboys' confidence, but it is what it is. They have 3 losses. We have 1. So there's still 2 games behind us. Now the Vikings are a game behind us. And we had the tiebreaker because we had beat them. So when we're talking about the number 1 seed for the playoffs, that's the big goal. The first goal is win the division, get the number 1 seed, play all your playoff games in Philly.
Yeah.
Powerful place to play, bro.
tough. It's a tough place to play, man. It's cold. It's
We're a
loud.
running team. We got good. We're strong in the trenches. You're
Yeah.
not going to dominate us in the trenches. That's why we got to fix this running stuff. We need to be able to dominate. If you remember the beginning of the year, like when we went into 4-minute offense at the end of the game, like we got the ball one time at the end of the game with like 7.5 minutes, and we had the lead, and we just ate up the entire clock,
Yeah.
just running the football, and
I don't.
the other team never got the ball back.
I honestly don't even think that we need to fix anything. I don't think anything's broken. I think they just need to change their mentality of like the coaches need to change their mentality of it's like every time they face adversity, they run it on first down, stuffed, second down, stuffed. All right, we're done. It's like they just cut ties with it and then we throw it 30 times straight. And it's like, man, like Miles Sanders, I think against the Commanders had 1 carry in the first half. Like it was some crazy statistic where I was like, our starting running back had 1 carry. I was talking to a guy at work because he started Miles Sanders in fantasy, and he needed like I think he needed like 8 points to win, and he had like Miles Sanders and Devontae Smith or something like that, and it's just I think it's just a mentality thing, man. Lean on it. Let Jason Kelsey call the plays. Like obviously we're not going to do that, and I don't think we should do that, but like he's talked about it before. He's like just run the football. Like let us get momentum. Like we're a line that likes to run the football. We like to. Yeah, it's not even a fact that, for one, you exert less energy unless you're pulling. You're exerting less energy. I mean, linemen talk about this all the time. You're literally just you're leaning on them. And after a few plays, the defense starts to get tired. And if you run the hurry up, they can't really cycle in players. You're literally just snapping and you're leaning on them. And they're getting tired and you're gaining momentum. Like that's all you're doing. You're using their momentum. They start to go back, and you're just falling forward with them. So all you have to do is just get that first step, and that's all we do. And Miles Sanders is athletic enough. Boston Scott, Gainwell, it doesn't really matter. Miles Sanders should be the guy. But yeah, I do think we need to just pound the football, and it will open up the pass. Teams will have to load the box against us, and then they're not going to be able to cover AJ Brown or Devontae Smith one-on-one. And in 3 weeks we'll have Goddard back. So I'm excited. We just gotta stay smart, not shoot ourselves in the foot, and run the football. Megan's my wife's mom. She's making me a crew neck sweatshirt that says "Run the damn ball." It's actually a Barstool Sports. I think it's like Bears colors or something, but they don't sell it in Eagles colors. So I'm having her make me one that just says "Run the damn ball."
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's if Sirianni listens, I think he's a subscriber. Run the ball. Just run the ball. Like run behind Jason Kelsey, let him pull Dickerson, Sayamalu, just run the football. And it will open up the pass. And like we talked about this yesterday, and you mentioned this, so this is your credit. But you said like basically a simple thing where Jalen Hurts has evolved. He's progressed as a passer. He's sharpened his skills. But if you make him throw it 45 times a game, he will show his imperfections. He'll show his flaws, his weaknesses in the passing game. He's not an elite passer. He's not close to an elite passer. He's made throws this year that he would not have ever thrown last year and would have never hit last year. So he's definitely evolved, but he should be throwing it 25 to 30 times a game. And that's not, I know everyone's probably going to say, well, he did throw it 25, but he also, what you said, he ran it 18 times. Now, some are designed, some are not, but I'm going to guess that probably at least 10 of those were dropbacks to pass. So, yeah, so really we're looking at 35, 40 times a game he's looking to pass. And then if you don't, I mean, the last drive you can include, but the last drive we just pounded the football mostly. So, and we got, I don't want to say a break because it was a penalty, but we got kind of a break on the Miles Sanders pass interference call. But like I mentioned that yesterday, I wonder how long Miles Sanders was open, because to me it looked like he was wide open by 20 yards, and then their linebacker just ran him down and tackled him, which smart play. Like, don't give up a touchdown, tackle him, and then see if your defense can hold. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous on our coaching. But overall, I think we'll find it. We found it last year. We figured out what we were doing wrong and we fixed it. I think it's a little harder to recognize what you're doing wrong when you're 9-1. Because you're like, yeah, you say we're doing this wrong, but we're 9-1. But we snuck out of 2 of those games, and one of them we lost. So we'll see, man.
The Eagles coaches thus far, this coaching staff has been good, about as good as you can be, I think, about adjusting game plans and making changes. This because after the first drive, the Colts ran the ball right down our throats. The first drive, it seemed like soon after we started to get a handle on the running game a little bit, and as the game progressed, we got more and more of a handle on the running game.
Yeah.
I love seeing Ndamukong Suh. Linval Joseph, I saw the same thing. I was watching them a lot. Linval Joseph is, for those who aren't familiar with him, Jason Kelsey once said he's the strongest player he's ever played against.
Yeah.
Linval Joseph is the strongest player Jason Kelsey's ever played against. He's like, you can't move that guy. But I saw that. Like when people hit, I've watched that line of scrimmage. Joseph is like stout or he's pushing back. He gains even on down by the goal line. Down by the goal line, dude. They handed the football down by the goal line, and like everybody was on the ground, but Linval Joseph's holding his guy in the air, like just like stout. Yeah. Now the running back went over here, but he's just like this pillar. Like the building collapses, and here's the steel beam that's still standing.
And if you pair him with Jordan Davis in the running game on obvious running downs, they're not going to be able to run the ball up the middle. And I hope our edges are good enough to recognize that. But yeah, it reminded me a lot of like Aaron Donald. Obviously, Joseph's been in the league longer and he's a veteran, but the whole thing where you see Aaron Donald kind of hit his guy and he just like locks him out with one arm and just holds him in place. And the guy's like fighting for his life. And he's just one arming him, like holding him still. And it's like, you can't do anything against it. And I saw it multiple times where he just locked a guy out with one arm and just like held him. And then the running back sees it and he's like, oh, no, not going that way. We'll go around. So we just need everyone else to kind of pick up, but
hey, Joseph and Sue, they had a sack.
Yeah, together.
I don't know if Joseph gets it or if it was like a half. They each had half a sack. I don't know how they want to break that up.
I didn't look it up. I think it was a Joe. I would say it's a Joseph sack and Sue joined in, but they'll probably do a half and half. But
Ndamukong Suh had 6 sacks last year. That's good. That's good sack production from the interior.
Yeah.
3-time All-Pro.
Damn.
He's just a tremendous player to have off the bench, man. And one thing I like that I found encouraging about him, I heard John McMullen say he was live in Tampa last year, Eagles Tampa Bay playoff game. The Eagles are the best offensive line in football, and Ndamukong Suh like dominated that game. He was giving us fits. He was in the backfield. He was making plays. That was last year in the playoffs, guys. He hasn't been playing this year. He's been, at this stage in his career, man. That's like great for them. That's great for their bodies and for their minds. Yeah. They're fresh. You're not going to teach them anything new.
No.
They just need to be fresh. Maybe get a little bit more in football shape, but they're not corners or receivers.
Right.
Their game is like in a box. So they're going to be huge additions. We're going a little bit longer this time today, as long as you can, Ryan. But I don't really need to talk about this, but I heard a little rumor that I found interesting, and then I want to talk some NFL draft because I'm a draft nerd. What do you think about the Eagles going out and getting Rob Gronkowski until Goddard comes back?
I would obviously take that. I think the dude can play. He's better than any tight end we have right now, healthy.
Over Jack Stoll?
Yeah, over Jack Stoll. I definitely. Yeah. I wasn't impressed with any of them. I wanted to see Tyree Jackson a little more, just off of athleticism and size. But I think they honestly just kind of came into the game with the game plan of not using the tight ends. Like, I think they were like, yeah, they're going to be out there, but we're not going to throw it to them. Like, we're not really going to do much with them. We're going to be decoys, and if they take a defender with them, cool. But it didn't look to me like they wanted to incorporate tight ends, which is a problem because it's a 4-game stretch that we're at least that we're without Goddard. So
And every game matters. So I would be in favor of bringing in Gronkowski. There's other guys, but Gronkowski's the guy that best fits the bill for what Goddard does.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if we could even talk him out of retirement, but I'd be fired up if we had Gronk.
yeah,
And we're not going to cut him, so
right,
we would have 2 tight ends that can make plays in the passing game and run the ball. So this was a very interesting thing about Goddard. Like when most teams line up with 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, it says they're going to pass the ball. But with Goddard being so physical and just an elite run blocker as a tight end, he could do either. It's like having a quarterback that can legitimately run or legitimately pass.
yeah,
There's not that many of them, but you've got to defend both. So Goddard can come out and hit you for 30 yards down the field. He could run a pattern, or he could stay in and run block. And the Eagles can run the ball so effectively, but for a lot of reasons. One, we have a great offensive line. I would say we have good running backs, but I don't think it's really a product of our running backs. I think it's the offensive line. You've got to account for the Jalen Hurts wrinkle, that he's a variable. He could pull the ball, he can run. And then the one that doesn't get talked about a lot is we have this tight end that can block. Him and George Kittle are probably the best run blocking tight ends in the league.
yeah,
And that's a big deal. Like when you run the ball from 11 personnel with 3 wideouts and your tight end is practically an offensive lineman.
yeah.
It's just an underrated thing. So I would like to go get Gronk, be able to do a little bit of that. Like, it's not going to cost him much money. Maybe he wants to play for a contender. He can plug and play. And, hey, we're going to block. Hey, run this pattern. I mean, I'd like to see it personally.
Yeah, sure.
Take a few minutes to talk about the NFL draft. So before yesterday, the Eagles had the 4th overall pick.
Yeah,
I watched the Pro Football Focus PFF NFL mock draft, and it's like Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis. Oh, the Eagles get to pick whoever the hell they want. That's not a quarterback, and I don't want any other quarterbacks personally. I'm not.
no.
They say it's a great quarterback class. We'll talk about that in the off season when we're talking more draft. But dude, the Eagles just have a pick of the litter, like Will Anderson off the edge from Alabama, 17.5 sacks last year.
Yeah,
Probably the closest thing that you're going to find in this draft that's at least popular that we know about. There's always a sleeper. Probably the closest thing to Micah Parsons, like a guy off the edge like that. Jalen Carter,
yeah,
defensive tackle, uber athletic from Georgia. They say he was the best defensive lineman on Georgia's defense last year.
right.
Like 4 or 5 guys that are going to be first-round picks, one of which was the number 1 overall pick. Then you got Jordan Davis. So then you got Brian Breesy, Miles Murphy. But to me, it would be, if we're picking 4th, it would be between Anderson and Carter.
Yeah.
Would it be between those two? Or who would you choose?
That's what I would assume. I'm taking the leap on Anderson if I have my pick. I like his mentality. There was a quote he had where they said, "How do you feel about playing? The like different levels of competition. You come out and you play. Guys that are walk-ons and guys that are on small scholarships, but they got to work to stay in school and like those things." And his quote was, and this isn't verbatim, but it's basically in the area of him saying like, "Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of guys that I don't think deserve to be on the field with me." I like that mentality. And the dude's a dog. He backs it up. He does what he says. obviously playing at Bama. Like, I think he's that would be my pick. I love Jalen Carter too, but yeah, that would be my pick. And they might, if I had to say, I would probably say that the Eagles would lean towards Jalen Carter, um, just because the Georgia background, he's going to be familiar immediately with Jordan Davis. So like that's I like the idea of drafting a guy like when you draft a quarterback and then the next year you draft his number one wide receiver his last year there, like the kind of chemistry, the Burrow and Chase type thing to like all these guys. So I like the idea of that. It's like going to a new school and then you realize your old best friend goes there.
Yeah.
Like, so I like the idea of that. I would say the Eagles would probably lean towards Carter. For one, Fletcher Cox is getting older. So yeah, we would need that. Brandon Graham's getting older. So yeah,
you got Sweat and you got Reddick on the edge.
Yeah, we don't need edge. Yeah, we definitely don't need
Well,
an edge rush.
yeah, I mean, you know who I want? I want whoever turns out to be the better player. So
Oh, really?
I just want the Eagles to get it right, and then it'll take a few
That's
years
it?
to find out. That's
Yeah.
it. But
All right.
I don't know. I haven't like watched a lot of both of them. I watched some, but like Jordan Davis, his natural, like I'd say his floor is like Linval Joseph. He's a big 3 technique, takes up double teams, lets you play a lighter box, lets you put more coverage on the back end. We think they're hoping for him to develop as a pass rusher because of his athleticism. They're hoping he can develop more and grow that part of his game. That would be excellent if he can. But Jalen Carter is Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
He is the dude. He's the pass rushing defensive tackle that is disruptive as hell, that is athletic as hell. I saw him on a highlight leaping up, blocking a field goal. He plays D tackle and wears number 88.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of weird, but he's athletic, dude. Like,
yeah.
And I just picture the Eagles defense. Like, Hargrave's a good pass rusher, but he's just getting older. I just see he's like seems to be a liability almost in the run game.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I
agree with that.
I'd be happy with either of those guys. Will Anderson's one of those few who actually played on Alabama as a freshman. So he's one of the few freshmen like Minkah Fitzpatrick. There's not that many who play as freshmen in Nick Saban's defense. Will Anderson's one. So I love him. The edge is so powerful. Like if you can hit on a guy that can get, double-digit sacks a year, that's huge. Huge.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to have it. But I love that idea of like 2 dominant freaks. If you're a quarterback, and we're built right here, these are our 2 best players. These are 2 great players right here, pushing the pocket back into my face. We've got edge guys that we've paid money.
Yeah.
We could upgrade on edge. We don't have Micah Parsons or Chase Young, but that's very intriguing to me, man. I mean, he's a real deal.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, more realistically, if we don't get the 4th overall pick, hopefully the Saints just tank, but if we're picking 7, 8, 9, we should have a top 10 pick, and we should have a shot at a guy like Miles Murphy.
Yeah.
Brian Breesy. And Breesy, like, he was the number 1 overall player, man. Like, some people say he's the best high school football player ever.
Yeah.
So who they'll be in 5 years is hard to tell, but lots of good talent, man.
Yeah. I do think it's a top heavy draft. As of right now, I haven't really dove into it. But I do think it seems a little top heavy, where it's like the first 20 picks are studs and then it's kind of falls off a little bit. But I do think it gets a little deeper. I think there's some spots in the 3rd, 4th round where you can find there's good stretches of talent, but Right now, just as like an outside perspective, glancing at it, I think it's a little top heavy. Um, but maybe not. You never know until the draft is done and you've seen the guys on the field. You know, the best running back will probably be a third or fourth round pick. Uh, just how it is. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see, man. I'm excited to see how the year goes. Like you said, hopefully the tanks keep losing, or the Saints keep lose tanking. I always tune in. I'm sitting there watching the Eagles game. I'm like, what are the Saints doing? What's going on with the Saints? I saw they won yesterday, but yeah, unfortunately, but
Olave
yeah,
had 100 over 100 yards receiving yesterday.
yeah, he looked good, and I picked up Jawan Johnson in one of my leagues because I lost Goddard in fantasy football and went back and forth. And I was like, I'm gonna sit Jawan Johnson, and I saw like the fourth play of the game he had a touchdown, and I was like, all right, there we go. But not a good week in fantasy for me. But I don't know. I'm in 4 leagues this year. Wouldn't recommend it. There's a guy at work that's in 7 leagues. I don't even know how you keep track of it, man.
Does he
Like
have a life?
I don't know. That I don't know. But it's a lot to keep track of. Like I have 3 in ESPN and I have 1 on NFL and
I'd
I
rather. I haven't done it for years, but if I were to get back into it, I would want to get into one real deal league where I'm
that's
very
what
competitive. But
yeah.
I'm competitive, so like you got to put your time into something, and I think I'd find myself putting time into that and trying to prioritize that. And
Yeah. No, it's fun, but I'm not gonna do 4 leagues next year. I mean, I think 2 leagues I'm really good in. I think one I'm in first place, and the other one I'm in second. And there's 2 leagues where I'm kind of just tanking. But honestly, I feel like my worst record I think is my best team. But I've just had I don't know, just really unlucky stretches, injuries. But yeah, it's fun, but it can be overwhelming a little bit. The 4 teams is too much for me. Um,
it's like the weight of the world's on your shoulders, bud.
yeah, like I just can't do it anymore. But
What if you don't set your lineup, Ryan?
I don't know.
Just
Well,
don't.
that's what we talked about. Like we're trying to get the league more and more competitive every year. Like every year we'll weed out kind of the whoever, it's like, oh, you didn't set your lineup this week or you drafted 3 quarterbacks, you're gone. Like stuff like that. Like there's one guy who our friend Justin brought in. This guy he worked with and he drafted Patrick Mahomes in the third. No, the second. Drafted Patrick Mahomes in the second, and then drafted Josh Allen in the third. Like we only start 1 quarterback in our league, so it was like, okay, but we all kind of like looked at each other and like, what is this guy doing? And like he started off okay because he had Josh Allen. He was starting Josh Allen, started off okay, but then when bye week started, he had no depth. So it was like, okay, you have 3 running backs on your entire roster, and one of them's not a starter. So like once the bye week started, he lost like 4 straight. But yeah, so it's fun. But we're trying to every year kind of make it a little more competitive. But yeah, it's interesting. The my work league is it's pretty competitive. I was actually surprised they drafted really well. There's at least my league. There's 40 teams overall. 4 leagues of 10. So
Oh, okay.
40, yeah, 40 people. No, yeah, if it was a 40 team league, I don't know that we could. I'd be drafting like Jack Stoll to be my starting tight end.
That would be kind of cool though. Not 40, but like it would be kind of
It'd be
cool
interesting.
for your leagues. Because you'd have to dig deeper, and
Yeah,
then points become more valuable. Like if a guy puts up 6 points, that could be
right.
really solid if you're in like a 15 team league.
Yeah.
That would
We
be.
actually saw a pretty interesting thing. This is way off topic of our channel, but saw a pretty interesting thing that
I don't want to
one of my
listen to this and shut it off.
yeah, but he said fantasy football is fun, but it's only one person making decisions. He's like, what if you had 15 people show up and you had 2 people per team? So you had 2 people that are running the team, 2 people doing the draft. You have to agree on a draft pick. You have to agree on trades, who to set in the lineup. He's like, then it's like an actual team. You have to actually acknowledge, like, talk to other people and try
Fantasy
to,
GM, bro.
yeah, like we're big time then. But no, I thought that was a pretty interesting idea. It'd be kind of fun, but yeah. So we're way
I,
off topic.
I'd be
But
your partner for a monthly fee.
all right, yeah. You'd have to pay me, right? That's what you're saying?
No, you would pay me.
Oh, all
Uh,
right.
last, this is random. This is a guy. This is pertaining to last year's NFL draft. Why didn't? Oh, so the Eagles had a fifth round pick. We ended up trading it away for two sixth round picks.
Yeah.
In the sixth round, we took Grant Calcaterra and then Kyron Johnson. I like them. They're both athletic. It's their rookie year. We'll see what they turn into. But you know who I wanted the Eagles to take? Why didn't the Eagles draft? And I know you text back and forth with Howie, Ryan, so I want to ask you, why
Yeah.
didn't the Eagles draft Tyreek Woolen in the fifth freaking round?
I don't know, Kyle. If you
He's
can
a
go
six
back and
foot,
find the
he's
pictures
a
I
six
sent.
foot four corner who ran a 4.26. And I'm thinking, we drafted Zach McPherson in the fourth a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. This guy's in the fifth.
If you remember this, and I know everyone's like, "Oh, of course you did," but I wrote that I had this guy on my list of like potential studs. Same with I had Chad Muma from Wyoming. I had Logan Wilson a few years ago. There's guys that just you watch their tape and you're like, why is he a fourth round projection? Why is he a fifth round projection? And like I'm like watching it, I'm like, what am I missing here? And then you watch Josh Allen tape, and you're like, this guy's gonna go like you're gonna draft him early first round. Like he didn't do anything at Wyoming. Like he has a cannon, he's big, but like if you're just going off pedigree, like oh he's built well, then sure. But like there's guys that I picked, man, like where I literally write them down. Last year there was a ton of linebackers I loved, but every year I feel like there's guys. I had Tyreek Woolen written down, and I was like, just off of his like size, athleticism alone, you can find somewhere for him to play, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like we tend to draft these 5'8", 5'9" corners only, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's a little frustrating to see him now, but
Maybe a
yeah,
character flaw, but you know, dude, I mean, I've never seen a corner 6'4" run a 4.26 ever.
no,
And he's playing in Seattle in that like perfect scheme.
yep,
So he's currently rated 78 on Madden.
yeah,
Is like Jordan Davis is our first round pick. He's rated 80.
yeah,
Right. 78 already halfway through the year, updated on Madden as a fifth round pick.
yeah.
He's 6'4" with 98 speed. It's like a freaking guy you would design, like a creative player. I can't believe we didn't take a shot on him, dude. Like for depth. And then like mold him, get him behind Darius Slay, get him behind James Bradbury, and like
Right.
let him play in a limited role. Let him play when we're up. Which, by the way, when the Eagles are up again, like if we get some more games where we're up, I want to get these young guys in to develop. I'd like to see Nakobe Dean come in when we're up by 20.
Yeah.
We're up by 14 points in the fourth quarter, like up by 20, whatever it needs to be. Get Nakobe Dean in the game. Let Kyron Johnson rush off the edge. Like, get some of these guys some experience so they, aren't trotting around like lost puppies if they have to go into the game.
I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen Nakobe Dean more. I kind of like we saw him early on a little bit here and there, but I thought we would kind of progressively see an uptick. But I mean, Edwards has played great. Kaiser White's played very well, shown a lot of flashes. He seems to be around the ball a lot, but yeah, I'm surprised we're not seeing more of him. But
Last NFL draft thing for me. Have you watched the quarterback? He was at Oklahoma with Lane or with who's the Oklahoma quarterback that moved to USC? He could
can't think of his name.
not Lane Kiffin. It's anyways. He was Caleb Williams. Have you seen Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
Dude, he looks good.
Yeah, he looks good.
He looks very athletic. He can throw, legitimately throw. He can run, as well as another guy who's really talented that just kind of had struggled. The DJ
Yeah,
Ungalugi Leye or whatever.
yeah, Uyangale or something like that. Yeah, Clemson.
That's it. I think I said it right. You said it
Yeah,
wrong.
probably.
But anyways, he's got a lot of talent. Big, strong dude, big arm. So not the Eagles aren't looking for a quarterback, but I just thought I was like, well, Caleb Williams looks really good. I
Yeah.
don't know if he's draft eligible, but if he is, I like him better than what I've seen. So we'll talk more about that another time. But any last points?
No, man. I think we covered a lot. I think I'm good.
Eagles are 9-1. Go Birds. Guys, please like, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, leave some comments below. We check that periodically. And thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time on episode 32. See ya.